But this crack in the armor, if I want to take out stats, the tangible part, where he didn't have that Barcelona squad around, he doesn't come through in moments where he could have came through. Penalty kicks in Copa America and World Cup against Germany, that goal opportunity. What would be your argument on those moments?
And I think this is the argument that's going to follow him the rest of his career, right? It's at the end of the day, and I don't know. It seems to be primarily an American centric argument that great players are defined by winning championships. Where in football, that's not always the case, because Johan Cruyff is legitimized without winning a World Cup. People talk about George Best, as his greatness. There are a lot of great players who've not won the great silverware. I think it's clearly Argentina was a good squad, but they weren't a great squad in comparison to the squad that Ronaldinho won his World Cup with. I think many would argue that could be one of the best Brazilian sides ever. So I think it's a difficult comparison. The other comparison is that, he's only won at Barcelona. And, with these players, sometimes that can be, you can make the argument that's what makes Cristiano Ronaldo so great, is that he's got this ambition to go on every team and see where he can take the next challenge and so forth. And people knock on Messi that, it's because of his lack of ambition. And I don't think that's the case at all. I think, if anything, it's another carrot in his hat. I think to this point, he has felt a certain level of compulsion to stay with Barcelona for what he feels they have done for him and his family. I think he is a loyalist, and I think it's extremely difficult for him to leave. I think he is attached to the culture there. I think he is embedded in the fandom there, and I think he thinks about all that stuff. So I don't know that I necessarily agree with the argument. Well, he can't win it. I think all great players, if they're great, they put themselves in moments where other players can't do it. And sometimes if you do it enough, you're gonna eventually come short, right? Players, if you take a PK at some point in a tight game, you're gonna miss one here or there. It's gonna be saved. So, my argument to that, circling back around with Ronaldinho, is I don't think that's necessarily a fair comparison in terms of the representation of their national team. I think the jury's still out. We'll see if Messi can win it. Maybe not. At the end of the day, does that change my impression of him for being the greatest? It's not why I think he's the greatest. I do think he's the greatest because ultimately he set a standard for both individual and team marks. And I think that's what, and he does it day in and day out, right? I mean, so I think for me, that doesn't jade the fact. I mean, if that's what people want to make their argument on, then there's how do you debate that? You can't, right? Yeah, the fact is he's not won a World Cup, right? But he's won a lot of other things for sure.